Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Vaughn Lane. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, there was the town hall last night. We're going to do a little deep dive into tight ends. We also may have a guest or two join us later this morning as well. So an absolutely loaded show for you. But let's start with that town hall, guys. A lot of stuff came out of that. A lot of good news, I would say. Before I get into playing some videos and things like that, just want to get y'all's main takeaways.
I thought there were no real gotchas. I wrote that this morning on ontexasfootball.com. You know, usually I go into these things somewhat with an ear to the ground on things we didn't know prior to a discussion. But really, I didn't feel like there were any, oh boy, this is an issue, or anything like that made my ears perk up. Instead, it was more of a progress report along with some future plans that I didn't know about. For example, they're going to try to rebuild or reimagine the softball field on the same blueprint. By the way, they're going to create something for the women's volleyball team that's akin to the Moody Center for men's basketball. They're on campus. They're going to try to do some of that stuff. The facility, the indoor football facility, I think was the lead topic at the beginning of it, and that's on time for mid-June, July, for it to show up and be online for the football team to start using it. And Jerry, I felt all in all watching it and listening to it that it just was very matter of fact and easy to listen to and easy to follow. I felt like Texas has a excellent athletic director and infrastructure for athletics. That's going to be nice, isn't it, Jerry?
That looks good now.
But all in all, my point being, I don't want to say Texas athletics is on rails right now, and just it's like the locomotive in the track has already been laid, you know. But that's kind of what it felt like last night from Chris Del Conte, and that's a sign of a well-oiled machine right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, kind of what I was laughing about, I was like, I wonder what these conversations with ADs and head football coaches are like. I'm going to take a guess. AD walks in the head football coach's office saying, how's everything going? Good to see you. Having a great week. So what day do you want to have the spring game? What works for you? I mean, let me know in a couple days because we got to start planning. But just let me know what day works for the spring game for you. I think that's what's going on. I think these coaches would love to not have spring games. I think these colleges, a lot of these colleges feel like they need to have spring games for their fan bases, drawing a little extra revenue, especially in the NIL day and age. That's just how I feel like that conversation would go down right now.
Yeah, to be fair, I kind of buried the lead there, didn't I? I didn't even mention the announcement of there being a spring game. That was one of the things we were looking forward to. That is going to be on April 18th. April 18th will be the spring game. They'll also have a fan appreciation day that day, and then afterwards there's a baseball game over at Dish Falk. So you can go watch the baseball team play as well. So it could be a full weekend. I'm excited about that and bringing back the spring game in any iteration they want to. I've said this before, and Chris Del Conte kind of mentioned that. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, if it's going to be a scrimmage or what have you, but there's going to be a football on the field and they're going to be players on the field. And I think that's what fans want, is to have an opportunity to go watch some of the team practice, play a little bit, scrimmage, what have you. So it should be fun. That'll be April 18th, to Jerry's point.
And Champ Bailey, I want to address this because I think this is part of it. I think we're having a spring game because there's no more spring portal. I think that's probably, I think the head coaches use whatever they can to not have a spring game as much as they possibly can these days. So I think that's a little bit of it. I think that may be part of it or part of the reasoning. But look, I think we got in the head coaches. It's just my opinion. We got to remember that the fans are what makes all this go. And to be at a football frenzy university, and the last time fans who pay a lot of money for tickets, a lot, goes up 7% more this year. The last time they see their team is if they make the trip to Orlando, which is $2 or $3 grand to go see the Texas Michigan game. You don't see that team again until week 0. I don't think that works. I don't think that works. You're asking for donations to NIL. I think these fans need to be able to engage with their team between January 1 and September 1st. And I think the coaching staffs and everybody in college football has to be cognizant of that. And I'm glad Texas is having a spring game because that is big for your fan base, which pays a lot of money for tickets and the travel on the road and donates to NIL.
No doubt. I mean, this is what we've been calling for, right?
Yeah.
Is some sort of, and I will say this, the NFL even allows that they allow you into practice nowadays.
Yep.
You know, and so for college football, not to have some aspect of that, I think is missing the mark, especially with the passion of the fan base. Yep. So good stuff. Glad Steve Sarkisian and Chris Del Conte are going to be able to do that. Some other news and notes I did mention this morning in our my morning article on ontexasfootball.com. The first day of spring practice, they didn't announce this last night, but I did get word that the first day of spring practice is expected March 9th. That is the week before school spring break. So they'll have a couple of practices that week and then go on spring break and then come back and finish out the remaining 12 practices leading into that April 18th date. You get 15 spring practices by NCAA rules. So that's what's going on right now. Blake, what did you get from CDC and et cetera? Let's play a little bit of it for the folks from last night.
Well, I actually have him talking about the spring game here. We've pretty much said most of it, but let's play that.
For spring game, everyone just wants everyone to know we are going to have a spring game, April 18th. Right? We're going to have a combination fan day. We're going to have a fan day and also a spring game. Not too sure how the spring scrimmage is going to go. We have a lot of young bucks. But I talked to Coach Sarkisian yesterday at lunch. He goes, yeah, we're going to give it a go. It's going to be awesome. And then we have a baseball game that afternoon. But
that's the coach's reaction. All right, we'll give it a go. The coaches would love to have no spring game, but that's just not reality. And your power. I mean, how important is A-Day at Alabama? It's an important thing. I mean, how important is a spring game at the University of Texas for the fans? It's a big deal. I'm glad it's back. Needs to be back.
Some of the other, I was trying to see what all they put online as far as some of the renderings go. We did get to see a sneak preview of, and I'm going to try to bring it up here, of what the new baseball facility is going to look like. So we got that. You get to see, they didn't give too much of a preview, but we did get to see a couple of renderings on that. The volleyball ones we already saw, so there wasn't much release there. The football one, we put the time lapse up at the beginning of the show. Then we showed you the one picture that they did show. But other than that, they didn't release too many preview renderings of some of the facility upgrades, just more announced them more than anything.
Yeah, some other news and notes that went on before we go much further. I want to mention this season ticket prices. There's now 7 home games this year. They also are increasing ticket prices by 7% for the season. CDC said that they're going to freeze that 7% hike for 3 years after this year. So keep that in mind. He also mentioned there was an 11,000 person wait list right now for season tickets. Wow. Kind of crazy. They raised roughly $100 million on the West Side Stadium suites, charging $10 million per for 10 different suites. That was a little interesting. A lot of people have been asking about grass fields too, and tell you a little bit about that. He said that what Sark wants to do as far as grass at DKR, he wants Sark to get into the football facility first, the new one, and see how workouts go. Because the minute you decide to go to grass at DKR, you can't do anything football related on those except for walkthroughs on a Friday afternoon and then game day. So it eliminates DKR as a practice field when you put it in grass or make it grass. And he doesn't want to do that without Sark actually being in there, getting a feel for what his team really needs and where they want to practice. But it is on the table for Texas. All right, before we get to the next stuff, we got a couple of guests coming in this morning, excuse me. We also have some other news and notes we want to get to. But first, I want to say thank you to our partner, real key one for us. That is Vaughn Lane. If you're tired of the hassle of flying or driving, you can skip the airport stress and highway headaches. Travel in first-class comfort with Vaughn Lane, the luxury motor coach service connecting major Texas cities. And now Vaughn Lane has expanded even to the southeast with spacious reclining seats, complimentary snacks and drinks on every trip, and meal service on select departures. Vaughn Lane makes travel stress-free and comfortable. If you need to relax, you can enjoy hot towel service, eye mask, pillows, blankets, all included. Or if you want to stay productive, there's high-speed Wi-Fi, power outlets at every seat. Upgrade your travel experience today. Visit vaughnlane.com. Use promo code OTF26. There's a new code for the new year. That's OTF26 for $20 off your first trip. Vaughn Lane, first-class travel without the hassle, connecting Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin, of course, as well as even the Plano and the Woodlands in suburban Austin, suburban Dallas and Houston. That's vaughnlane.com.
Hey, Bobby, you failed to mention that the OTF suite is the last one on the left.
It's the one outside the stadium. Actually.
It's the last one on the left, so we'll be selecting 5 members every game to sit with Bobby at the home game. So,
yeah, the OTF suite is the one on the opposite side of I-35.
We got a discount, $9.25 million,
whatever it is.
Oh man. All right, guys. Well, one thing that we have been doing, and we're getting close to the end, we've gone through just about every position. We only have a couple left, and one of those is tight end, which we're going to look at today. 6 on the roster. And what are y'all thinking about this position group?
I think Mike Masunis is going to be a big addition that's not talked about because he is a high-level inline blocker. So I don't think those guys ever really get enough attention, whether that be in high school recruiting or portal recruiting. But Mike Masunis, I mean, people are saying he's a sleeper, top 5 NFL draft pick at tight end next year. Top 5 NFL tight ends, I should say, because he's such a good inline blocker. Well, that makes him, if that ends up being true, and obviously he was a quality inline blocker at Michigan State who's battled some health issues early on in his career. If that ends up being true, that is a big, big deal for the run game. You know, Nick Townsend that has no problem with being aggressive and physical on contact in the run game. Bobby, this could quietly right now, if it all pans out, be the best blocking combo Texas has had at tight end in the run game. And then I think the other big thing for this team next year, I think we know Emory Winston has really good hands, right? If he's out there running a route and the ball goes his way, somebody's going to have to contact him through the back or over or through his forearms for him not to catch the football. He has got really good mitts. Here's the big part for me. Does Nick Townsend become a dude, air quotes, dude? Because if he does, with that speed and that ability, that gives the Texas offense another dimension outside those wide receivers, around those wide receivers and those running backs. And if he becomes that level guy, I mean, you got to remember, he's 6'3", 245, 250, and he's running in the low 4.5s, guys. I mean, his track times are there in high school. He almost went to state in the 200 at 240 pounds his senior year. His track times support that type of speed and time, and who knows what he's going to test at Texas a year into the program. So if Masunis comes through as that type of inline blocker, Bobby, and Nick Townsend becomes a dude as a pass catching threat, and I mean more down the field, more in that Sanders way, a Jatavion Sanders way, which are different players, but just that downfield threat. then Texas offense goes to another level, in my opinion.
I think so. Look, Jack Andrews was a good player last year. There's no two ways about it. Very talented, good player. But it was a little bit of a mismatch. Nick Townsend was too young early. Spencer Shannon is almost entirely an inline tight end. It didn't feel like, I want to say this the right way, because it didn't feel like the tight end position was a complete position last year. A year after having Gunnar Helm, who was kind of that do-it-all kind of guy for you, right? And so my thinking on this is, what is it going to look like this year? Well, guess what? I mean, Nick Townsend's a year older. Spencer Shannon's a year older. And then you add in two guys that one didn't play for you at all last year, and Masunis, another in Amari Winston. You mentioned you mentioned Michael Masunis being an inline guy. He is absolutely that, Jerry. So that's what they wanted out of it. I was told going into the portal season, they wanted an inline blocker at tight end, particularly because of two reasons. Okay. Nick Townsend's reason number one, Amari Winston's reason number two. People don't realize this. They fought like heck to keep Amari Winston out of the portal, because a lot of people were trying to get him to go to the portal because Nick Townsend had kind of come on and done really well. He wants to stay at Texas. He stayed at Texas. They expect really good things out of Amari Winston. So if you're sleeping on any player in this group right now, I'm telling you, you're sleeping on Amari Winston. And I think that's one thing to watch. Interesting to see what Charlie Gillette can do as a true freshman. Young man, played multiple positions in high school. We'll start off, at least, we believe, at tight end. That's what he said he was recruited to do at the University of Texas.
Okay, guys. And I put this in the chat, but I wanted to make sure he saw it here. Matthew asked, what show did you cover the specialist? We'll do that either tomorrow or Monday. We have that and quarterback left. So we'll be looking at them one of those 2 days. I don't know whichever one I make whatever day I make the graphic on is the day that we'll do that. But one of those 2 days for sure. I just wanted to make sure that you saw my answer, or heard my answer. Okay, guys, looks like Will Matthews is ready to join us this morning. Good morning, Will.
What's up, my team? What's going on? I kind of missed you guys. I'm listening to you, but we're not talking. So it's like, what's going on?
How many marathons did we miss? How many did you run?
Well, I'm in a chill session right now. We'll get back to it in March. I'll get back into the Spartan races. So I'm kind of Spartan racing now.
What is Spartan racing, Will, for those that are unaware?
Yeah, so for all you Longhorn brood out there who wants to know a little bit more about Spartan race. So Spartan race is like, they'll do like a 6 to 10, sometimes 26-mile obstacles. So you'll have 25 obstacles that you got to jump over. So climbing, pulling, digging into stuff, like crawling under barbed wire, a bunch of weird things. But I don't know. It just scratches that itch where I need to compete a little bit.
I'm glad I don't have that itch.
You probably do. You just scratch it in other ways.
I'm scratching the wrong spot.
Hey, Will, we were just talking about tight ends, and it struck me that we had you on because you were a fullback at Texas. The fullback has kind of gone the way of the dodo bird. You know, it's no longer really a position much, except for in Kyle Shanahan's offense, I guess. But my question is, it's been replaced by what is a H-back sniffer kind of position that Nick Townsend played for Texas a lot last year. So it kind of is now inclusive of the tight end group. What are your thoughts about that process that's taken place over time, and why they even have gone away from that? What does it afford teams to have more of a tight end look as opposed to a fullback?
Yeah, I mean, if you're just kind of looking strategy wise on the offensive side, as a running back, as a running back fullback, there's a certain amount of carries. As the game has progressed over the last couple of years, they went from the way we did it, which was me and Cedric Benson in the backfield, until one of us was hurt or we were beating the other team by quite a lot. And that was smash right in your face, downhill football. And so what has started to happen is if you're thinking as offensive coordinator, you're like, I want to get my best people the ball. And sometimes the fastest, most electric person is not the fullback. So over time, they've started to replace that position with a slot H-back, and, different kinds of sets where they're going 4 wide, 5 wide. And really what that tight end has become is kind of the utility all-around person. So depending on the offense, you may have a more short, stockier, tight end, H-back kind of guy, or you may have that long gunner helm, tall, in line, can really get vertical and really press the safeties in the second and third level. And I feel it, what has happened, but I can see a really intense shift that's going to start to move back towards those bigger, more stout bodies, because as you move to nickel and you bring in that extra defensive back, the best way to cover that guy up is to outnumber them in the run. So we're starting to see that a lot with extra offensive tackles, extra people, but that base there is that fullback position. They're just finding a way to be a little more Swiss Army knife with it. My first couple of years in the NFL, that was where I was going. It was get to the H-back. And that H-back position, especially for the way I was going to play it, I would have been on third down. I'm the third down back because I can block so well against linebackers, as well as sneak out and get into the flats. Probably not running the ball that much, but still moving around and getting that edge and solidifying the edge for that outside stretch pitches, and then the misdirection getting me back around. So I see it. It hurts my heart a lot, but that's why I'm so excited about my boy Shano. He always keeps it real with a fullback, and if I was going to play, I'd want to play for him.
Hey, Will, if you were Will Muschamp, would you ever just walk by my guy Nick Towns in the hallway, say, hey, any interest in 10 sacks that is an overhang linebacker? I mean, I don't know how that would go for Sark, but if you were Muschamp, would you just walk by and nudge him, just say, hey man, any interest in 10 sacks over here out playing opposite Colin Simmons?
I think that's a great point, and I had a similar experience. It was clear that I was a fullback in the group, but I wasn't starting. We had guys like Matt Trissel and Chad Stevens, who really, really great fullbacks, and I was like, look, man, I could go over there and play for Bull Reese, come off the edge and play and play defensive end. And so I got up the courage and I went to Mac. And I said, Mac, I want to play the end for Coach Craven. And he said, well, you're going to play fullback and you're going to like it. Get your ass back in that room. So, yeah, I mean, I think every bigger guy who's got in that fullback, H-back, tight end, there is a little bit of you always think from time to time, I could come off the edge. I mean, I'm quick. I know what I'm doing. So,
hey, Will, we haven't talked to you much, but we were talking about the tight ends just a minute ago. That's why I led you into that kind of conversation since you played that fullback position. The offense in 2026, we haven't talked to you since the addition of Cam Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
And really how well Arch played at the end of the year at the Citrus Bowl, all of those things. What are your general thoughts? Yeah,
it's a keeper.
Thoughts on
my kids keep trying to eat the Cheez-Its, Bobby. Like, tell them stop trying to eat my Cheez-Its.
I like that. That's a cool looking gift box there. Hey, no, but in all seriousness,
yeah.
What is your thought on the Texas offense? Because you've been an offensive player.
Mm-hmm.
How good do you think they will be in 2026 if you can quantify it?
Yeah, I think the sky's the limit. I think there was a lot of meat left on the bone from last year. And the hardest part for the offense was really finding that that up front, middle, and the offensive line, just kind of getting that together. Once they solidified that, that gave Arch really a base to start to be Arch. We all saw what happened coming out in the first pass against Ohio State when he skipped that ball to DeAndre Moore. And really, that was kind of the first part of like, whoa, are we going to be able to get this offense going in a way? And I mean, he matured lightning fast in front of America. Hats off to the young man for continuing his craft and pushing in that area. But I think what I saw from Coach Sark specifically was, hey, we're going to do what we need to do to have the offense that we deserve at Texas. And I think it's the difference between bringing in the right people and having the chemistry on team together. Now, they brought in the right people, and now the emphasis has got to be on how do we solidify these relationships, because Arch has got to love Cam. He has got to really, really understand what he can do and be able to put that ball in a place where only he can get. Now, Cam, we'll see where he lands on this, but there's a lot of upside there. I think that, he really can ignite an offense in a way. And I think, Jerry, you might have been talking about this yesterday. He's going to be bracketed a lot.
Yeah.
And people are going to have to give him the respect that he needs, which is going to open up for Wingo. And even though Wingo is an incredible talent, I do feel like he still has room to mature as an athlete, a route runner. He as an athlete, and I understand this, is what happens is you rely on your athletic ability instead of your training. Right now, I believe that his training is starting to catch up to his ability. And once it is, we may have two Cam Coleman style guys back there. And it's going to be really difficult to cover those guys. And really, we saw that with guys like Tate and Jeremiah Smith up in Ohio State. What do? You can't be right. And if you got a quarterback like Arch who has the ability to move the pocket, he's not going to be taken down. He's not going to go sacked lightly. You really can do something special. And so I really see, and the running back room, we haven't even touched on that. There's a lot of opportunity. I think the struggle, which is crying from a yacht, which I got that reference from Coach Sark, is how do you get everybody the rock? How do you distribute the ball appropriately now that you've got all of these backs? And you still got Simon back there. I can't wait to see him do his thing. Terry's coming along. You got guys like Jet Walker who may get the red shirt and just watch. Like, how are you going to mature and develop these guys into a position to play and to be in that circle of trust with Coach Sark? I think they got their work cut out for them, but this is the kind of work that you want.
Will, I want to follow up with that, because one of the things that Bobby and Rod and myself discussed on State of the Program yesterday was how important this spring is. Everybody thinks about the on the football field part of it, but the team building part of this, there's 43, more than half the roster's turned over.
Yeah.
And Raleek Brown was his team's leading rusher. Hollywood Smother was his team's leading rusher. Cam Coleman was the go-to best offensive player at Auburn. Ryan Wingo led Texas in receiving yards.
Mm-hmm.
Emmett Mosley did his thing when he was healthy. You have a young running back in Derek Cooper, James Simon coming off. There's one football. There's one football. Masunas had 19 catches at Michigan State. Somebody in the chat said, well, 30 at Texas. I'm not disagreeing with that guy, but there's only one football. And Nick Townsend's in year 2, and Emory Winston, like Bobby mentioned it, those guys are expecting catches and receptions this year.
Yeah.
How important is it from a team standpoint? And team building's weird. It sounds like youth sports almost to me when I say that. It's almost like here's your orange slice. Like we're not. But how important is that this spring? I think it's everything for a team. Everything.
Well, they've got to rally around an idea. So what I've experienced about Texas in my time there is you got guys who don't see the field who will play on Sundays.
Yes.
That has got to be the idea with these young men. You've got to say, look, you may want to get the rock X amount of times because you feel like that will put you in the awards trophies, the eye of Mel Kiper, and it'll get you on the draft board. And that's true, but also there's one ball. if you play your game, block on the perimeter, and take advantage of the opportunities that you get, you will play on Sunday. The reason why I got an opportunity to get that jersey wasn't just because I had the ability. That's true. But what we did is we beat Michigan in the Rose Bowl, and they saw me play. I had film on platform and on the highest levels. They could evaluate me very clearly. We had a great backfield. People were coming to see Cedric, and everybody wanted to see Vince. Because of that, I got an opportunity to play. And a lot of guys got that. Marcus Wilkins went to Westwood High School. He didn't play much in college and had 7-8 years with the Bengals. I mean, come on, that's the kind of talent that we have here. If the guys can subscribe to that, knowing that they can get to the NFL with less reps because of where we're at, then you're not going to have any problem. I think if coach can't like kind of shave down the egos and the sharp edges, then it could be very difficult. But I think, knowing Sark, he brought the guys in with that in mind.
I love it. I love that discussion because it feeds into something that Sark talks about all the time. And it's a different kind of culture building, right, than you would think on its surface. And Jerry talked about the orange slice culture. You know, I agree with that. I mean, this is a little bit more nuanced in that Sark always talks about it's not how many snaps you get, it's what you do with the ones you get.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, Ethan Burke split time this year, right? They rotated heavily at defensive end. He split time. He's going to get drafted.
Yeah.
And it's going to be because of what he did with his reps, not how many reps he had. And I think we were talking yesterday about Ian Jaffrard, the big defensive tackle out of Arkansas, had 400 and something snaps last year. Texas wants him to have like 300 at most, probably, right, in 2026. And it's going to be more of what he does with those snaps. And that's the culture you have to – it's the buy-in, I guess, is the right terminology, Will.
Yeah, you're totally right. And what I've always said, too, is the spring is so important. And reason why it's important is it gives you the okay to compete for a position in the fall. This is when the coaches look at you and go, we got something here. We're going to slot this guy in the second string, and we're going to allow him to compete with the first string guys. And that's why you got to show up with the reps, because here's what coaches will do. And this is how it is. It's been since day one is if you're a young guy and you're not the biggest name in the world and they will give you a couple of reps. And what they want to do is they want to see, Bobby, exactly what you said. What will you do with these 2 reps? Will you whine about it? Will you be disruptive? Will you drop the one pass in the flats? I caught 100 balls a day just so I didn't drop the one pass in the flats. Because if I dropped the pass in the flats, I wasn't going to get another one, bro. I had to. That was the kind of game. The amount of reps you got to put in to shine when it's your time. And that is really what they've got to do. And hopefully that's what we're going to see. And I can't wait to even what CDC was talking about. We're going to have some sort of spring game. It'll be good to see the guys. I think that's great for the fans, especially if there are no injuries there. And I'm sure they'll make sure that everybody stays as safe as possible. But this spring is going to be huge. And in the NFL, which is more of what this is becoming, those OTAs in the spring after the draft, and that time as rookies, as well as getting connected with the rest of the crew. Because in the NFL, it's a lot like this. People come and go. They would cut a guy from the Bears on Tuesday. We'd pick him up on Thursday and then cut him on Sunday. I mean, that's how it works. And so guys have got to not only want to play for Texas, but they have got to want to focus on the culture that Texas has, because this is the only time that they get to win. And now the stakes are so high. You get one season, and then you got to re-sign. You got to go on the portal. You got to do your other thing. But today is today, and now is now. And the guys have got to take advantage of it.
Hey, Will, last thing I have for you, and if you can't answer, just tell me to shut up, because people have many times.
Hey, please, will someone please tell Jerry to do that sometime?
Will, you're as the sideline reporter, you have some inside baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any inclination that Arch had something going on with his foot, or is he so tough that you didn't know it, or he had a minor procedure? And he's going to be back for part of the spring, but I'll be honest, I haven't heard anything about a foot. I mean, we saw, okay, the guy's sore. He's been hitting the ribs 15 times, taking some hits, had the possible concussion. Yeah. But was the foot cert? I mean, had you heard anything? Did you ever see anything with him, or was that one out of the blue?
No, and I think I've just been around long enough to know that there's always an option for these kinds of things, and guys try to hold and hide these until this time. I remember my first year at Detroit, I played 6 weeks with a meniscus tear and told no one. My knee swelled up in between practices and games because I had to make the team. And Arch is probably not trying to do that to make the team, but you can just tell this is his passion. He believes in it, and he's going to play to get it done. And I did see, the only thing I did see was his leg. He had a sleeve on it. Yeah. I didn't know if that was just fashion, but those are the things I'm looking for. Is there any sort of difference in the game during that time? And to be as close as I am to the team and close as I am on game day, they really did a great job of mitigating this kind of thing and making sure that it wasn't a distraction. Because if anybody got the word of this, buddy, it'd have been crazy. And so kudos for the team for taking care of this now and not letting it linger like so many out there. And hopefully we can get him back as soon as possible with even more experience and passion ready to go for next year.
You mentioned the word lingering. I don't think we've had you on, Will, since the Cheez-It Bowl, Citrus Bowl. Any lingering thoughts of what you saw that from the team against Michigan that day, and just things that you've been thinking about the last month or so?
Yeah, I was really floored by the level of talent in the second string and the third string for Texas. A lot of our guys from Taft and Anthony Hill weren't playing. Malik. And I understand why. It makes a ton of sense. As a fan, you always want to see the best on best, good on good. But I do understand guys have got to make those decisions, those business decisions for their future. But my goodness, the second string guys, the guys, and the culture shifted a bit. There was a more jovial and relaxed feel to the game. It was so relaxed pregame that I was like, I don't know if these guys are ready. And they stepped up, and there was a next man up, and you really got to see guys do it. I remember post game, I'm talking to Khalil Lockett, and he catches the ball in the touchdown right there, and he looks at me, and we're asking him questions, Roger and Craig and myself, and he looks at me and he pulls his earphones to the side and he goes, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't even know what to say. And he says this, it's been so long since I was on like this. And I pull the mic and I'm like, look, let me just talk through what I'm seeing him feel in the moment. And it was just such a touching kind of thing. And also Clark as well. And both of the guys, they needed to know that they could still do it. And it is just such a mind melt to be in the second and third string when you come in so highly touted. It really plays against your self-esteem that you have built and everybody telling you how good you are. And people are still telling you how good you are, but you got to see it. And to watch him go through that in real time, Christian Clark as well, and good luck to him next year and what he's going to be able to do over there in Kentucky. I think that's where he's going. And just those young guys stepping up. And I really feel like we've got something special all around defense and offense. I can't wait to see these guys. And with the portal additions, 19 guys, 43 all brand new roster, what are they going to be able to do? This makes it that much more fun.
Will, thank you so much, bud. You have a good weekend.
Yeah.
Are you going to go to either of the basketball games tonight or on over the weekend?
So I'm going to have my ear as close as I can to the ground. The thing is I try my best to stay at home as much as possible because I'm so gone during football season. And I spend so much time with clients out entertaining. But I'm so proud of the basketball team. And what I'm most proud of about what's going on is I'm seeing other sports and other athletes at other games, at basketball, women's basketball, men's basketball. That is something special. That's something that we did. We knew each other really well. Right now, a bunch of the guys are still in Austin. We're doing business. I mean, I was just at a gala with Brian Boddicker and Drew Stubbs and Quan Cosby. Like, these are the relationships that you build, and you do business with each other after this. And so I'm seeing those kinds of things. There's something special with brewing, and we've had a lot of success, but I think, let's go. It's even more coming.
Hey, Will, what's that competition we're going to be doing? I'm putting this in my notes. What is that we're doing again?
We're going to be Spartan race.
Okay, I'm going to have to look this up
the
and get in
details
shape real quick. Spartan race. Got it. I got a month. That should work.
Put a corn dog at the end of the race, and
I will win. I will beat all these former pros.
Mayonnaise and corn dog. This guy's going to be all over it.
Later, Will. Be good, buddy. Hook 'em horns.
All right, guys.
For those of you guys don't know, Will is a VP at Truist Bank when he's not on the sidelines with the Longhorn Radio Network guys. So thanks, Will, for stepping in this morning. We've got a number of ad reads to get up to, and then hopefully we have another guest coming up here. Let's talk about first Mint Mobile. Every group has someone who insists on doing things the hard way. That friend's still paying for a subscription they forgot they had. One refusing to update their phone because it still works. I used to be that person too, especially when it came to overpaying for wireless. Then I switched to Mint Mobile, and I'm glad. Stop paying way too much for wireless just because that's the way it's always been. Mint exists purely to fix that. Same coverage, same speed, just without the inflated price tag. The premium wireless you expect, unlimited talk, text, and data, but at a fraction of what others charge. For a limited time, get 50% off 3, 6, or 12-month plans of unlimited premium wireless. Bring your own phone and number, activate with an eSIM in minutes, and start saving immediately. No long-term contracts, no hassle. Get a 7-day money-back guarantee and customer satisfaction ratings in the 90s. Mint makes it easy to try and see why people don't go back. If you're ready to stop paying for more than you have to, new customers can make the switch today, and for a limited time, get unlimited premium wireless for just $15 per month. Switch now at mintmobile.com/ontexas. That's mintmobile.com/ontexas. Have to read this disclaimer here. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for a 12-month plan required. That's equivalent to $15 per month. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Over 50 gigabytes. May slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. Additional terms apply. See mintmobile.com. Again, switch now. mintmobile.com/ontexas.
And Jerry, if you'll tell us about Hayes City Store.
What a great place to go for the Super Bowl, by the way. You can call and make your reservations. They will be open for the Super Bowl and are taking your reservations. But what is Hayes City Store? It's a special restaurant in the Hill Country. It's just one of those places you know is special the first time you walk in there. It's scratch-made Texas comfort food. They've got their famous truck stop enchiladas, award-winning chicken fried steak, homemade desserts. All of it is absolutely delicious. All of it is from scratch. They also have live music 6 nights a week with 50 beer taps, ice-cold long necks, and tasty margaritas. There are 13 TVs alone in their ice house, which is perfect for game days. That Super Bowl game day coming up pretty quick. And they even have brunch served on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And again, they will be open for Super Bowl Sunday. Hayes City Store is a dog-friendly place, and they have a tree net for kids. Don't mix the two. Join the folks at Hayes City Store and bring your whole crew. For more information, check out the website at hayescitystoretx.com. Hayes City Store, it's uniquely Texas, and it's got great food and good music and all of that, and I love it.
And I'm going to tell everyone this morning about Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend, elite hoops matchups almost every night, it never stops, and Prize Picks lets you take control. And, of course, they have it all, whether it's the NFL, NBA, NHL, PGA, UFC, college basketball, whatever your flavor that you may want, Prize Picks has you covered. And, of course, right now, all eyes are on the big game this weekend, and Prize Picks has a special max discount which is live in the app right now. Drake May just needs one passing yard for the max discount to win. All you have to do is add another player to your lineup, and if your picks hit, you can cash in. And don't forget, Prize Picks is now available in all 50 states. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, code ONTEXAS will get you $50 in lineups after you play that first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Okay, we got some more to talk about. We got some super chats as well, and I'm going to jump over to a couple of those real quick. Matthew says, "Good morning, guys. Thank you for all your hard work and great programming. Do you think that with Arch and Cam, we will see the back shoulder throw in critical moments? Indiana used it to great effect in the college football playoff championship."
I'd love to see Texas get – this is where I think missing spring practice hurts, Jerry. Things like the back shoulder fade that Indiana used, Fernando Mendoza, I think Charlie Becker was the receiver. Those things can really get ironed out in spring ball. Cam Coleman's available for spring ball. I don't think Emmett Mosley's going to be available, by the way, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
What I was told.
Yeah.
Ryan Wingo will be available for spring ball. So hopefully, I hear you. Hopefully that could be something that Arch and Cam Coleman really work on in spring ball and then carry forward throughout the summer. That's a good point. Something that Texas did not do much of last year. And I think it has to do with as much timing, Jerry, and not having the timing down from spring ball because he didn't have any of those receivers.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, look, I think Texas has 3 guys that they can throw that to now. And that is Cam Coleman, and that is Mosley, but he'll be playing out of the slot. But he's a contested catch guy, and Khalil Lockett. I don't think that's how you use Ryan Wingo, but Texas has options there. Last year they had one option there, and that was Emmett Mosley, and he was hurt for 4 games. To Bobby's point, so that will be a part of it this year. And I think what's going to happen though is, look, I think Cam Coleman's going to be a bracketed guy and a marked man as much as possible, but that's why you have to have really good players around guys like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't let him be leveraged out of football games. I mean, you just can't. He's too valuable. He's too good of a player. But I do think that's going to open up, because Cam Coleman's on this team, is going to open up some great opportunities down the field for others, the way Sark's going to scheme this thing up. And who's going to be that guy that really jumps up and grabs it? That's my question.
Well, speaking of Sark, he's actually the subject of our next super chat. This one here from Killa 1021 says, "Did y'all see the article that was written," which Killa says he doesn't believe, "that Sark is on the hot seat? Well, he says that he would love to hear y'all's thoughts. It gave him a good laugh. Hook 'em."
It was from Kirk Bowles. Kirk is a friend of mine. I like Kirk a lot. I think he's off base on this. I don't always agree with Kirk's takes on football, I guess is the best way to put it. Texas football. The reality of it is are you theoretically on the hot seat every year at a place like Texas?
If you hadn't won titles, yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Yep.
But would I qualify that as a hot seat? I don't even think it's lukewarm for Sark. So much less hot in my vernacular. But it's a relative term. My opinion is no, but I don't know what else to say.
I think, and I'm not saying Sark is, but I think in these jobs, there's levels to it, right? If you go out and have a James Franklin start to a season with a lot of talent, your seat is on fire at major universities when you have high expectations. If it starts off bad in the portal day and age and the NIL day and age, you can get on the hot seat after 4 games and be gone after 5. It can happen. So I'm not going to sit here and say no. If Sark goes 9-3 and misses the playoffs, is he on the hot seat? That's a totally different discussion to me. Like, there's levels to all this. If you're on a really good team and you flame out, then yeah, of course you're on the hot seat. because there's a lot of money invested in these teams nowadays. Do we think that's going to happen at Texas? No, I don't think it is. So that's the only way I think any of these guys are. Look, I mean, if Dabo hadn't won 2 national championships, he would have been burnt toast last year at Clemson. Burnt toast after last year. So it depends on where you're at these schools and how does that season go when your expectations are at. That last year was supposed to be Penn State's year, guys. He got fired.
But he had 15 or 13 years at a place and always
it's the year after the semifinal.
Yeah, but it's still, he's had that. He can't win the big one was his whole thing. I mean, Sark has won some big games. He's won a conference championship in his 5 years. He's done some of these things, got to 2 national semifinals. It's just, I agree with you that the rope can be shorter nowadays. I have no problem agreeing with that. To make any comment that Sark somehow is on a short leash or that there is a hot seat brewing in Austin, I think is kind of outrageous and over the top.
Yeah, no,
it's not true right now. I'll just put it that way.
No, I'm saying
his seat is not hot right now.
I'm saying if any of these guys go into a year where they're expected to win big and they don't have titles and they don't have national championships, if you start 1-4, 1-5, you damn sure are.
You can be that way. I'm just saying.
So act like you're not. We can. If somebody implodes to start a season, damn right they're on the hot seat.
Okay. That's I'm not disagreeing with that. What I'm saying is he's not right now.
No. None of them are until it happens, right? And I'm not saying I don't think it's gonna happen, but nobody thought Penn State was gonna happen. I mean, if Dan Lanning started 1-5 next year, his seat will get warm.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just to say he is right now is
none of them are now.
I think
some are that level.
Yeah. I mean, for example, Dabo Swinney's won 2 national championships. His seat's much hotter than Steve Sarkisian's.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Drew says, as a fan, can we buy tickets for the spring game and fan appreciation day? If so, what all does it entail? Sorry for the broad question. Actually, Drew, no tickets needed. You just show up and you go in, and if you want autographs, be prepared to wait a long time in a very long line. Other than that, you just walk around and enjoy.
But there'll also be Bevo Boulevard will be open if you bring your kiddos or you have kiddos. You sit where you want in the stands. Make a beeline for the overhang so you get out of the sun would be my first suggestion. Those become the valued seats. But long story short, it is completely free. CDC, and Jerry's talked about this ad nauseum, and I completely agree. They've done such a great job, him, Drew Martin, their entire team, of creating an atmosphere, a kind of, what's the best way to put this? Kind of like this fun carnival-like atmosphere almost around a football game. And it's I really enjoy the spring game because there's a little less crowded. You get to kind of converse with more people, hang out. I think it'll be fun for people. Again, that's April 18th. It was announced last night for those that missed early part of this show.
All right, well, we'll get to some more super chats in a moment. But one thing that we haven't talked about is Texas National Signing Day. Obviously, we very briefly discussed it yesterday, but when we went off the air is when it actually happened. And so, Jerry, I'm going to let you take the lead on that.
That's how far gone the second signing period is, the first Wednesday in February these days. There's just not many guys out there. Elijah Ali signed with Texas yesterday. That brought the class to 24. Fifth straight top 10 class for those people that like those numbers. Some had it 3, some had it 7, one had it 10. It was kind of all over the place based on your rankings and your ranking system. Elijah Ali signed 6'4", maybe 6'4" and change, probably 6'4", 280, 285. his recruitment really slowed down because he got suspended his senior season due to transfer rules, and he wasn't really a high radar guy his junior year. He's a late developer in football. Really talented athlete. For those that haven't heard that story, Muschamp, Kenny Baker, and Johnny Nansen were out on the West Coast seeing 2027s in early January. And I think a couple of people had reached out to Johnny Nansen and Kenny Baker, said, hey, man, there's a D lineman. If anybody's looking for a D lineman, there's a kid that was at St. Pius, St. Matthias. He didn't get to play, but the first 4 games his senior year. And nobody really knows about him. San Diego State just has offered him and 2 or 3 other mid D1s out on the West Coast. And so Texas, I think it was Kenny Baker and Johnny Nansen went and watched him work out. And they walked away saying, whoa, that guy's got a chance. He's really talented. He's a really gifted athlete with size. And so Texas continued to have those discussions and brought him on campus. And this last weekend, and he signed with Texas Wednesday. So I think this is one of the good things about scholarships going to 105 is Texas and all these other power universities. I think you can if you're willing to keep looking through the portal times in January, you may be able to find a gym or 2 out there. And let's see what happens there. He's a developmental player. Clearly, he has not played a lot of high school football. But a guy that Texas, this wasn't just on a whim watching a video, huddle video and talking to a coach. They actually went and watched him work out. And they liked what they saw enough to say, let's see what we can do with this guy. Because Elijah Ali's not coming in with expectations of playing next year. He knows where he's at as a player. He played in 4 games as a senior, not many before that in high school football. But that also doesn't mean you can't develop into a good player. There's a lot of guys that got the football late or had injuries in high school or whatnot. But it adds another defensive line. And I will really like what I'm seeing if Texas tries to get an extra D lineman or 2 with their 105 to develop every year playing in the SEC. I think that's huge. And I think we have Jermaine Bishop's huddle. Because now that Bishop is enrolled and now that signing day has come and gone, this is probably our last look at Jermaine Bishop, Texas high school, Dave Campbell's player of the year in the state. And I think he should have been the player of the year in the state by anybody, honestly, with the season he put up. It's one of the best skill position seasons in the history of the state of Texas because he did it on both sides of the ball and on special teams. But this class this top 10 class headlined by Diabell out of American Heritage, obviously the quarterback, Derek Cooper, running back at Chaminade Madonna, and Jermaine Bishop, Richard Wesley out of California, although some of those West Coast guys don't get as much attention as the East Coast guys and guys in Texas. But this class, again, really talented. I think Jermaine Bishop will have a chance to play early for Texas that have an impact next year, maybe in limited touches. But when you can do things like this, when you can make people miss, you can make multiple people miss, and you have that Xavier Worthy physicality and mindset about you, then you're going to have a chance to get on the field. And a guy like this can sneakily make some plays for you because Cam Coleman, because Ryan Wingo, because Emmett Mosley, because all these other guys we talk about. Sark may be able to get this guy in some favorable matchups as he gets acclimated to college football, and he may be able to make some key big plays for you throughout a season. But a tremendous talent. Look, if Texas ever runs back 2 punt returners, which they did a couple of times last year, maybe it was decoy, maybe they had something special planned. But this guy, if you ever want to use 2 punt returners, now you're giving away your punt safe. But if you ever want to use 2 punt returners, you put him and Ryan Niblett back there, and you'll scare the pee out of the teams you're playing. I know that. But the class is really good, really talented. I think Richard Wesley has a ton of upside long term. I think James Johnson does too, the D lineman. He didn't have a great senior year because he had a minor knee injury, but his talent level, if he puts it together, watch out for James Johnson. We're talking about a guy that was committed to Georgia and flipped to Texas, same as Derek Cooper. So the class is really solid, I think, all around. I think there's 22 of the 24 on campus right now. Only Nicholas Robertson at Klein, who will probably begin his career at center, he was a guy that moved up the national rankings as senior. We always had him as a 4-star plus, meaning we thought he was in that 150 range in the country. some people moved him up in that range after the Under Armour All-America game. I was happy to see that for Nick because I think he's kind of overlooked because he committed early and didn't have a lot of eyes on him. And then Elijah Ali's not on campus, but the other 22 are on campus taking part in workouts now and headed into spring practice.
I just want to let y'all know that highlight that Jerry talked through was from one game.
One game.
for Jermaine Mitchell. So that's what kind of player and playmaker you're dealing with there. Jerry, I want to go back to something you said at the very outset when you were talking about Elijah Ali and talking about Texas adding depth along the line of scrimmage late in a process. I agree with that. I think they went after big bodies and big frames late in recruiting. Jet Walker, even though he's a running back, big frame. Rocky Cummings, defensive end, edge, linebacker, whatever he is out of California, big frame. Charlie Gillette out of Michigan, big frame. Elijah Ali, big frame. Caden Shear, big frame. Those are all developmental guys at some level. Now, Walker may not because he's a running back, but those are all big framed guys that they said, hey, let's roll the dice on these guys, try to get them into the program and develop them. Yeah. Ali fits that same mold just a couple months later. So who else does that? I'll tell you who else. Georgia.
Yep.
Georgia will take an extra defensive lineman or offensive lineman over an extra wide receiver any day of the week.
Yep.
Late in the process.
Yep.
So,
yep. I love that. Look in the 27 class right now, Cam Hall, his best football is way out in front of him. The linebacker Hogg they took best football is way out in front of him. They're moving in that direction with some of these pieces with the 105 now, and I like that. And I think some of it's the conference you play in. To Bobby's point, Nick Saban always oversigned on the D line. Kirby Smart will oversigne on his lines of scrimmage. I think that's where LSU used to do that as well, obviously, with Saban and Miles. But I think that's where you need to be in the SEC. I don't think that's going to change.
Well, we got time for a few more questions here. We got another super chat. This one from Jeff Carey. Thank you, Jeff. He says, Jerry, who has been an upside and downside surprise for Texas basketball this season, still last in projected by ESPN?
Well, the upside, look, it's obviously Dalen Swain has come, and Sean Miller obviously had an inkling of this because he picked Dalen Swain over Ryan Conwell, who's really good, because Texas wasn't going to get both from an NIL perspective. I think Conwell got over 2.5 at Louisville, which is an amazing number, but he's a really good player. He'll play in the league. But Dalen Swain, I think my eyebrow was raised when Miller brought him, was the most important guy to him to put a team together, a team that he on short notice was going to have to reconstruct with eyes on multiple year guys. So again, Dalen Swain was potentially a 2-year guy. Conwell was in his final year. So that makes sense because Sean's really trying to build a program here and have multi-year guys. But Dalen Swain zipped past any expectations. I think he zipped past the expectations of even Sean Miller in a weird way, because you don't know when you come from Xavier, which is a great basketball league, but then you come to the SEC. I mean, and he's asking him to be his playmaker off the bounce. He is his go-to scorer. I think he's had 10 defensive rebounds 2 of the last 3 games. He's starting to shoot the 3 with confidence over tall, long defenders. He was 4-25 from 3 his freshman year, 16%, about what TJ Ford shot his freshman year. And TJ made a nice little jump into the high 20s his sophomore year. So did Dalen Swain. Now Swain has started to make contested threes in the SEC. So he's starting to pop up on late first round mock drafts, early second round. He's playing his way into a decision. So it's obviously Swain because what he's doing in the SEC, there's aren't a lot of guys that are going to walk out in the SEC in your first year in the league and average 20 points and 7+ rebounds and 3+ assists and have the ball in your hands a lot in crunch time. Not that play on the wing. Keyshawn Hall at Auburn, but he's a different type of player. He's a guy that's lost 60 pounds, but he's a natural scorer, great scorer. But Dalen Swain's that guy. Obviously Nick Cody. Nick Cody had a really good scrimmage against SMU, hit 2 or 3 threes, had like 15-8. And so it was like, from what I'd heard behind the scenes, they were like, oh, okay, if this guy plays to this level, we have a chance to be really good. Then he went poof, gone. And now he doesn't even play because Sean Miller coaches hard. Sean Miller's a really good coach. He is a strong communicator in a Will Muschamp way, by the way. There's some similarities there. But he's a great communicator. So you either are going to be accepting of it or you're not. And so that's the position that didn't come through for this team. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Matas has got to quit fouling. I don't want some of these guys to figure it all out in 1 year, by the way. Then you start losing players. There needs to be a gradual possession for some of these guys. If Matas was playing near perfect basketball, he wouldn't be back next year. We need some of these guys to stay around and play for multiple years. If you can find a way to get Swain back, you get Matas back next year, because he will command a massive NIL deal somewhere else. People that don't think he will, they're nuts. If you can get those guys to come back, you bring in Austin Gooseby, who's having an unbelievable senior season, made the McDonald's All-America game. He's just playing at such a high level. Bo Ogden can shoot the hell out of it. Cam Heide is his role. He's really growing into his role right now. You got a chance, and you're going to go out in the portal and hit about 3 positions. You have a chance to really build a program and make strides. But that's my thing. I don't want all these guys to figure it out in year one. Then you have a rebuild every year. And I don't think that's what the plan was coming in here.
Speaking of plans, Rocky P says, Bobby, we need an OTF event for the spring game.
You can plan on that, bud. We're definitely going to do something. I'm going to try to see if we can't get a tent on campus. I ended up not doing it last year because there was no game. This time, I'm going to see if I can't get something on campus for us.
And something else I need you to tell everyone about this morning is Vaughn Lane one last time, please.
I can do that. Thank you very much, Blake. Vaughn Lane is the way to get between major Texas cities. You don't have to worry about TSA lines. You don't have to worry about traffic. In fact, you don't have to worry about anything, including even getting on the bus. It's that easy. There is no line. You simply show up at a hotel terminal, park your car, get on the bus. Everything is simple, easy, no paying for parking even. Look, in all, there is no easier or better way to get to and from big cities in the state of Texas. And starts all in Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, as well as Plano and the Woodlands. Relax on one of their 22 oversized first-class seats with Wi-Fi, power outlets, and personal service that makes the miles fly by. Every Vaughn Lane trip also includes complimentary snacks, beverages, and hot towel service with complimentary meals available on select routes. Whether you're traveling for a football weekend or a holiday, or it's just a business trip, Vaughn Lane turns your travel into downtime that you need. Book today at vaughnlane.com. Use code OTF26 to save $20 on your first ride. That's Vaughn Lane, your private jet on wheels. I want to say this. Thank you very much to them for their sponsorship of On Texas Football. It means a lot to us and helps us bring programs like these to you guys each and every day. Thank you very much to Vaughn Lane.
Hey, Blake, I want to mention huge basketball game. We hadn't mentioned it in Moody tonight. Kim Mulkey and LSU, 99 points a game, rolling in to take on Vic. Top 5 matchup. LSU won the first one. Huge game coming off the win over Oklahoma for Vic. I'm sure the crowd is going to be fever pitch. It's a late start, 8 p.m., so everybody's going to have time to get to the Moody. It's going to be a big time game. And these games are huge right now. This game in itself is a big game because this is 2 teams fighting for a number 1 seed. And if LSU beats Texas twice, and they're on the same
and away. Home and away, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
If LSU beats Texas twice, then I know who's getting the 1 seed if it comes down to both of those teams. I mean, it's like, so these are big games right now. And Texas, the Aaliyah Crump coming back is huge for the women's team. That gives them another floor spacer. It takes a little pressure off Madison Booker and Jordan Lee, and it gives Vic flexibility within his lineup. He can go offense, which you may have to do on some level against LSU, although defense is the staple. But then he can also kind of sub in Lee for Crump and have a rotation where he puts his best defensive group on the court, but has another score around Madison Booker at all times. And I think it takes a little pressure off of Rory too. So huge game tonight. Last thing I wanted to mention on hoops, because Living Rent Free asked this twice. I saw this, Jeff Goodman, Field of 68. They do an amazing job covering college basketball. Had Texas the second best job in the SEC, basketball job in the SEC to Kentucky. That was a that's coaches. He polled the coaches, and that's what coaches say. I don't agree on the surface with that. I think Texas is a really good job. I think, and I get why college coaches say that. The state of Texas produces a ton of NBA talent right now. And sometimes it's overshadowed because football is the sport in this state. Tons of NBA talent, elite players every year. The Moody Center is a unbelievable facility. Austin's an unbelievable place to recruit to. It's a major city, has an NBA city feel, but you're coaching college basketball. The University of Texas, amazing institution. I think, look, Austin, a lot of former NBA players are raising their kids in Austin. I mean, these coaches see all this Nike school. They see all this and add it all up, and they're like, you know what? Rick Barnes got to a Final Four. Chris Beard was probably headed in that direction for sure. They know what can be done there. I wouldn't have it too, though, because, I mean, it's just not a basketball fan base at Texas. That's my problem is it doesn't – you go to Arkansas and you have that piece of it. Now, look, Billy Donovan did amazing things at Florida. All it takes is one guy to come in and change it to show you what it can be, and that's what these college coaches are looking at. But that's also a part of it. Hey, whoever comes in and actually gets it done, and hopefully in my lifetime, the court will be named after him. That opportunity is still there for somebody. I mean, Florida's done it twice now with Billy Donovan and Todd Golden. It can be done at a football school and a football-dominated fan base in school, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot, but I don't think Texas is a number 2 job. I do think it's a top 5, 6 basketball job if you have the right person in place in the SEC. I will say that.
All right, y'all. That's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by Vaughn Lane. We want to thank Vaughn Lane along with Prize Picks, Mint Mobile, and Hayes City Store for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. Big thanks to Will Matthews for joining us. Bobby, what's later today for everybody?
We've got football theory coming up. Rod Babers going to break some stuff down as it relates to the University of Texas. We got a live stream this afternoon or this evening as well. All in all, though, look, we've got news and notes coming in as it relates to spring workouts or winter workouts. We'll also have information on basketball as that happens over the next couple of days. Chris Beard coming to town over the weekend too. So look, it is the off season, but we'll be here for every day, any kind of news and notes that come in. Again, I want to start by saying this or finish by saying this. Spring practice begins March 9. There is a spring game on April 18. So we're about a month away from getting the ball back out on the field again.
And by the way, if you have any questions we can't answer, so we thank all you guys for supporting us. We have a thread, like Ask Us Anything thread on ontexasfootball.com today. Almost anything goes. Almost anything goes. Any questions you have for Bobby, CJ, myself, Jeff Howe, Blake, the team, that thread is going at ontexasfootball.com.
Okay, well, we will be back tomorrow morning. Hope you all have an absolutely amazing day today. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe. And